Is your CVT shuddering when you pull away from a stop? That shudder is your CVT telling you it is dying, and what you do next decides whether it lasts 30,000 more miles or 300,000. Your dealership already knows this is happening. They see it every week, but a dead CVT is one of the most profitable repairs in the car business, so they are not exactly rushing to warn you. I have spent years watching people destroy these CVTs by following bad advice, and the worst part is, the fix is stupidly simple. In this video, I am going to walk you through 18 tricks that separate a CVT that dies at 80,000 miles from one that makes it past 300,000. But some of these same tricks have also killed thousands of transmissions when people got them wrong. So before you touch anything, you need to understand how your specific CVT is built to fail. Every CVT has a different weak spot depending on who made it. That is why trick number 18 is identify your brand's specific weak points before you touch anything. Not all CVTs are the same. A Nissan Sentra will die from completely different causes than a Toyota Corolla, so check your owner's manual or search your VIN online and find out exactly what type of CVT you have. If you drive a newer Toyota, you probably have a direct shift CVT. Toyota figured out that the hardest moment for the belt is pulling away from a dead stop, so they added an actual physical first gear. When you hit the gas at a green light, that gear takes all the abuse. Once you get rolling, the system hands power over to the belt. Honda is a different story. If you drive an older Jazz or Insight and feel a violent shaking when you start moving, do not panic. That is Honda's special start clutch getting gunked up with dirty fluid. Honda actually has a cleaning process where they flush the fluid and drive the car in a specific pattern that scrubs those clutch plates clean. It fixes the shudder for a fraction of what a new transmission costs. Subaru owners, listen up. If your CVT has a weird skipping feeling under 20 miles per hour, like you are rolling over tiny bumps, that is not normal no matter what the dealer tells you. The Subaru community proved that replacing the correct fluid and swapping the filter regularly fixes it completely. And then there is Nissan. I could talk about Nissan CVTs all day, and honestly, none of it would be good. Their Jacko units are famous for heat sensitivity and early failure. The one rule that matters above everything else is you must use the exact Nissan fluid, NS2 or NS3, depending on your model. If some quick lube shop dumps generic fluid in there, game over. The belt starts slipping, the heat goes through the roof, and the pulleys get carved up. Some models, like the Pathfinder, even had special service campaigns because the problems were so widespread. Mitsubishi owners, your CVTs use similar Jatco-based units as Nissan, so the same heat sensitivity and fluid rules apply. Models like the Outlander, Mirage, and Eclipse Cross all share these vulnerabilities. Make sure all software updates and service campaigns have been applied to your vehicle. But even if you know your brand's quirks, what do you do when the dashboard lights up and the car starts jerking? Because that is where the real money gets wasted. Most shops will jump straight to a full replacement, and that brings us to trick number 17. Demand a targeted component repair instead of letting a mechanic swap the whole unit. I have personally seen cases where the actual problem was a single bad solenoid that cost $200, a dirty valve body, a worn-out torque converter. If the shudder only shows up at highway speed, 9 times out of 10, it is just the torque converter clutch failing, and that part can be swapped on its own. Sometimes the problem is not even mechanical. A corroded connector or a bad speed sensor can mess with the hydraulic pressures so badly that it perfectly mimics a dying transmission. Do not agree to a full replacement unless your mechanic physically shows you the evidence. Metal chunks in the pan, photos of a cracked belt. If they cannot show you that, they do not have a reason to tear the whole thing out. If replacement really is unavoidable, look into remanufactured units with solid warranties and check whether your vehicle qualifies for class action settlements or lemon law protections. Now for fluid changes. This is where even good mechanics mess up, and it leads us to trick number 16. Force an adaptive memory reset every time your fluid is changed. Your transmission's computer constantly adapts. Over 30 or 40,000 miles, as your old fluid gets thin and loses grip, the computer quietly cranks up the pressure to compensate. Now picture this. A mechanic drains all that old fluid, fills it with fresh, super slippery new stuff, but never plugs in a scanner to reset the computer. The computer keeps pushing the same aggressive pressure that was tuned for the old fluid. With slippery new fluid in there, the transmission starts jerking violently. The car drives worse than before the service. I see forum posts about this every single week. People pay for a fluid change, drive off the lot, and their car shudders harder than ever. The fix was a 30-second computer reset the shop never bothered to do. Demand written proof that an adaptive relearn was performed. If the shop gives you a blank stare when you say that, walk out. But what if your CVT is already slipping and shuddering hard? That brings us to one of the most counterintuitive tricks in this entire video. Trick number 15 is never flush a dying CVT. When a CVT has been neglected for years, metal shavings and thick sludge build up in the fluid. Here's the twisted part. All that gritty debris actually gives the worn-out belt something extra to grab onto. It is the only reason a neglected CVT can still function at all. If a shop blasts all that sludge out with a high-pressure flush and fills it with clean, slippery new fluid, you just removed the only thing keeping that belt from sliding freely on the pulleys. The car might not even make it out of the parking lot. A good mechanic will always check before they flush. Smell the fluid. If it smells burnt, that is a warning. Pull the pan and look at the magnets. If there are big metal chunks stuck to them, the internals are already coming apart, and a fluid change will only unmask the damage. So how do you know if your transmission is heading toward that point? That is what trick number 14 is about. Learn to read the warning signs before it is too late. The classic early warning is a pulsing vibration when you pull away from a stop or crawl at 15 to 20 miles per hour. It feels exactly like driving over those rumble strips on the highway shoulder. That is the belt rapidly slipping and catching instead of gliding smoothly. Another early sign is a delayed engagement when you shift from park to drive, where the car hesitates for a second before the gear catches. Keep an eye on your tachometer. If you are doing a steady 60 on flat road, but the RPMs keep bouncing, that is slippage. A random drop in your gas mileage is the same problem showing up on your fuel bill. Listen for a high-pitched whine that changes with your engine speed. That usually means the bearings are wearing out or the fluid pump is starving. And if you ever catch the smell of burning fluid, that sharp chemical stink, pull over immediately. Pushing it further turns a $1,000 valve body repair into a $6,000 complete failure. If the engine is running, but the car will not move at all, that means the belt has snapped or the hydraulics have completely collapsed. Do not restart the car. Call a flatbed immediately. Now, here is something you probably do not realize. You are damaging your CVT right now during your daily commute. Trick number 9 is shift to neutral at every long stoplight. Every time you sit at a red light with your foot on the brake and the car in drive, the transmission is still engaged. The engine is pushing force against locked wheels, and the fluid is heating up with no cooling happening. Multiply that by thousands of red lights over a year of city driving, and your fluid breaks down way faster than planned. The fix takes zero effort. Shift into neutral at long stoplights, and never rev your engine while sitting in park or neutral. That creates sudden pressure spikes that can crack solenoids and damage the valve body instantly. Your daily habits matter, but how you drive matters even more. Trick number 8 is the cheapest one on this entire list. Drive smooth or your CVT will die early. Every hard launch from a red light is the absolute worst thing you can do. When you floor it from a stop, the belt is handling maximum power, while the pulleys are at their weakest position. That creates an enormous heat spike that permanently damages the fluid's protective chemicals. A gentle driver can push the same CVT past 200,000 miles. An aggressive driver in the exact same car might blow it at 80,000. Same car, same parts, same fluid. The only difference is the right foot. When you first start your car in the morning, drive easy for the first couple minutes. The fluid is cold and thick. Slamming the gas on a cold CVT is like sprinting the second you roll out of bed. Smooth driving helps, but if you live somewhere brutally hot or regularly tackle mountain passes, your CVT needs physical help. Trick number 7 is install an aftermarket transmission cooler. A multi-pass unit mounted behind your grille gives you way more cooling surface than the factory setup. Under heavy use, it drops your fluid temperatures dramatically, but you need a thermal bypass valve. Without one, the cooler will overcool your fluid in winter, making it too thick to flow properly. A bypass valve sends fluid around the cooler when cold and only routes it through once things heat up past a safe point. A cooler keeps the temperature down, but you need to know what that temperature actually is. Trick number 6 is monitor your CVT temperature in real time. Get an OBD2 Bluetooth adapter, plug it into the port under your dash, pair it with a phone app, and watch your transmission temperature live while you drive. These things cost less than a tank of gas. The numbers you need to memorize. 170 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit is the safe zone. Above 210 to 225, ease off the throttle or pull over. If it hits 248 degrees, that is the death zone. The fluid chemistry breaks down permanently. The friction materials start melting. That damage does not heal. When towing or climbing mountain grades, take cooling breaks anytime the temperature creeps into the 220s. Pull over, idle and park, let everything come back down. Now for extreme conditions. Trick number 13 is completely rethink how you drive in winter. On ice, a CVT's smooth, continuous power delivery makes it incredibly easy to spin your tires without noticing, and that hammers the belt. The best investment for winter is dedicated snow tires. The soft rubber compound bites into snow and ice in a way no all-wheel drive system can compensate for. If conditions get bad, you might need chains. But pay attention, because this destroys CVTs every winter. The second your tires hit dry pavement, those chains come off immediately. Driving chains on bare asphalt sends violent jolts straight into the belt. It will break it. On icy hills, barely touch the gas. Let the CVT find traction on its own. If you start sliding, take your foot off the gas completely. Do not slam the brakes. If the wheels lock, gently release and steer into the slide. Keep a massive gap ahead so you never have to panic brake. Trick number 12 is use your terrain modes to beat the sand. Sand creates enormous resistance. If you drive on a beach with fully inflated tires, the CVT overheats almost immediately. Drop your pressure to around 15 to 20 psi before hitting the sand. That widens the footprint so the car floats on top instead of digging in. Keep it in automatic mode. The computer handles sand better than you can with paddle shifters. If you get stuck, turn off traction control temporarily because the factory system cuts power every time a wheel spins, which is the exact opposite of what you need. In the mountains, use sport mode going uphill. Going downhill, switch to low or manual mode for engine braking. This saves both your brake pads and your transmission fluid from overheating. Here is something nobody thinks about until it is too late. Trick number 10 is a rule you must never break. Never let a tow truck drag your CVT with the wheels on the ground. Your CVT's oil pump runs off the engine. Engine off means pump off. Zero fluid circulating. If a tow driver drags your car with the drive wheels on the road, those wheels spin the transmission internals at highway speed with no oil. The bearings melt, the belt snaps. A simple breakdown becomes a $7,000 catastrophe in under 5 miles. Always demand a flatbed, all 4 wheels off the ground. If no flatbed is available, the drive wheels must be lifted. For all-wheel drive, the remaining wheels need dollies. And if you are buying a used CVT vehicle, inspect the undercarriage for scorch marks. That means a previous owner had it towed wrong. Trick number 11 is about towing the other way when you are pulling something behind your car. A CVT was never built for heavy hauling. Respect the manufacturer's tow limit down to the exact pound and count passengers and cargo as part of that number. If you are near the max, your trailer needs its own electronic brakes. And honestly, if you need to tow heavy every weekend, a CVT vehicle is the wrong tool. You now know how to drive it, cool it, and protect it. But when it is time to change the fluid, most shops get the procedure wrong. The next few secrets cover what happens under the pan. Trick number 5 is check the magnets inside your transmission pan. Every CVT pan has magnets that catch metal particles shed by the belt and bearings. A thin film of fine paste is normal, like brake dust on a wheel. But thick sludge clumps, chips, or needle-shaped fragments mean the internals are tearing themselves apart. Check the fluid color too. Clear red or light amber is fresh. Dark brown means heat stress. Black with a burnt smell means severe damage. Clean every magnet before closing it up so next time you can track how fast new metal is building up. Trick number 4 is fix a hidden factory design flaw. Many CVTs, especially Nissan and Subaru, have their main filter buried so deep it can only be reached during a full rebuild. Every normal fluid change leaves that filter untouched. Fine metal particles just keep circulating, scratching the pulleys daily. The fix is an external inline filter spliced into the cooler return line. It catches what the factory filter misses. If your vehicle has an accessible pan-mounted filter, replace it every fluid change. No exceptions. Trick number 3 is master the correct drain and fill technique. Always drain the fluid hot, around 170 to 200 degrees. Hot fluid is thin and carries way more contamination out. After refilling, keep the engine running and slowly move the shifter through every position: park, reverse, neutral, drive, and manual modes. Hold each for a few seconds. This pushes fresh fluid deep into the torque converter and valve body. Check the level at the exact temperature your manufacturer specifies using a scan tool. Too much fluid creates foam that kills pressure. Too little starves the pump. Both will destroy the transmission. If the CVT has been neglected for 60,000 miles or more, skip the high-pressure flush. Do 2 gentle drain and fills spaced about 500 miles apart instead. Everything you have done so far is pointless if you fall for the single most destructive lie in the car industry. Trick number 2 is ignore the lifetime fluid myth, and this lie has killed more CVTs than any mechanical defect. Some manufacturers will tell you, straight to your face, that your CVT fluid never needs to be changed, ever. That is a lie. Lifetime fluid means the manufacturer matched the fluid's life to the transmission's life under perfect lab conditions. In the real world, you sit in traffic, bake in summer heat, make short cold weather trips, and occasionally tow. Every one of those things degrades the fluid faster than any lab test accounts for. When people skip fluid changes, the protective chemicals break down. The friction modifiers wear off. The belt starts slipping. The fluid overheats, and the whole system enters a death spiral. The car community and master technicians all agree. If you drive in demanding conditions, change the CVT fluid every 25,000 to 30,000 miles. Gentle highway cruising, you can stretch to 40 or 60,000. A $150 fluid change, or an $8,000 replacement. That is the choice every time you skip a service. And now we have reached trick number 1, the single most important trick in this entire video. Everything else you have learned today, every single trick, exists to support this one thing. This is what the title promised you, and it is so simple you will be furious nobody told you sooner. You must use the exact right fluid for your CVT. Not close enough. Not a universal substitute. The exact specification your manufacturer calls for. CVT fluid is not just oil. It is a chemical formula engineered to do 3 completely different jobs at the same time. It acts as the hydraulic liquid that squeezes the pulleys. It lubricates the bearings and pump. And most critically, it provides the precise friction level that lets the steel belt grip the polished pulleys without slipping. That formula contains friction modifiers calibrated to your specific belt material, anti-wear agents that protect bearings and pump gears, viscosity improvers that keep flow consistent across temperature extremes, and thermal stabilizers that resist breakdown under heat. Change any one of those and the whole system falls apart. If you pour regular automatic transmission fluid into a CVT, the belt slides instead of gripping. Regular ATF is designed for clutch packs and step transmissions and has completely different friction chemistry. In a CVT, it allows the belt to slip imperceptibly on the polished steel cones, generating extreme micro-friction heat rather than transmitting torque. That microscopic slipping starts a chain reaction of wear, metal particles, and more slipping that snowballs until the transmission is dead. Mixing different CVT fluid types is just as deadly. You cannot put Nissan NS2 into a system designed for NS3. Even within the same brand, subtle differences in additive chemistry and friction modifiers can destabilize the hydraulic response. Always use the exact OEM fluid. Buy from a trusted source because counterfeit fluid is a real problem online. Check the product data sheet. keep your receipts, and store your fluid sealed. Even small amounts of water contamination cause internal corrosion, bearing pitting and foaming that destroys hydraulic pressure. Ignore anyone selling miracle additive bottles that claim to fix a slipping CVT. The fluid chemistry is so precisely balanced that dumping in an unknown additive can destabilize the entire friction system. Stick to what your manufacturer engineered. And that is it. That is the one trick that makes a 300,000-mile CVT possible. And once you understand why, it almost feels illegal how simple it is. Every other tip in this video, the driving habits, the cooling, the filters, the computer resets, they all exist to support this one thing, keeping the right fluid in the right condition, doing its job. Now you know more about your CVT than most mechanics will ever tell you. You are not guessing anymore. You are in control. Drive smooth, keep it cool, and your CVT will outlast anything the dealership thought was possible. But your transmission is only one system. Some of the same habits that just saved your CVT are quietly wrecking other parts of your car right now. I covered every one of them in this video right here. It picks up exactly where this one leaves off.